We're staging for another half hour of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts with Marty Huff and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here's your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for being here for our half hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Del Worsham got his very first win of the season at Brainerd and is looking to take that momentum into the U.S. Nationals. Today, we talk to the defending Funny Car World Champion. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast around the world, this is The Straight Line on Drag Racing here on MRN.com, heading into the Chevy Performance U.S. Nationals, along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel Champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert. I am Marty Huff. It's the big go, Doug. I mean, this is what we wait for all year long. This is the biggest race in drag racing, without a doubt.
Well, I think so. Some people might argue with that, but I think you're right. I think Indy is Indy, and it's been Indy for a long time, and so it's a big deal. And I think it kind of lost the luster a little bit there for a while because there was what was the big deal? It paid the same. It got the same points and all that. Now, Indy is points and a half. It's got a bigger payday. Yeah. They've got the special races, the track's a shootout, all these things. So, yeah, I think so. Pomona Winter Nationals is big because that's the first year everybody brings out all their new stuff. Gainesville's always been big, but Indy is Indy's big. Yeah, and no question about it. Pomona also, the finals. That's where the championships are doled out. That's where we crown the best of the best during the year. But Indianapolis, the U.S. Nationals, the big go, has always been the elite, I think, if you ask most. Well, it's an extra day. You know, they go in on Friday. You're running on Friday. You're running on Saturday. Eliminations on Monday. So you've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's kind of a marathon race. You get into a groove. I always liked going Indy because you get into a groove, and came that close to winning the race a couple times. In 92, raced Ed McCulloch in the final, Top Fuel, and he beat me by an inch. And then following year in 93, I raced Pat Austin in the final, and we had a pedal fest, and my blower belt zinged off or something. Pat Austin got me in the final, but I just have a little bit of unfinished business to do at Indy, but that's that's the way it goes. That's a big one.
And heading into the 2016 edition of the U.S. Nationals, some big points implications going on. One of the things that makes Indy really big nowadays is that it's the race to get you into the countdown. And for some teams, they're okay. There are other teams that are right on the bubble, and it makes the U.S. Nationals that much more pressure-packed. Not that you can hardly put any more into that weekend, but for, say, in Top Fuel, you have Leah Pritchett and Terry McMillan sitting there in a flat-footed tie to get into the countdown. One team's going to go home. One team's going to show up here at ZMAX Dragway in a couple of weeks and going to be
in the top 10.
In the top 10 in the countdown.
Well, now here's one thing to think about there. Terry McMillan just won that big the Budweiser
into the
drawing
shootout
deal, and that was against all odds. So I if I had to guess, I'd say luck is on Terry McMillan's side. When you look at performance of the car, I would say Leah Pritchett's car has probably got an advantage. That car, that's a Schumacher car. So, but I'd rather be lucky than good.
No question about that.
I'd rather be lucky than good.
Absolutely.
You never know. That's going to be a toss-up, though, between Leah and Terry McMillan.
And let's remember,
that's going to be a tough one. Yeah. Over on Pro Stock Motorcycle, Steve Johnson is hanging on to his 10th spot. We went, Mimi and I went out with Steve Johnson the other day, and he's biting his fingernails. I'll tell you, he really is. And the Indy, there again, back to that points and a half deal.
Yeah.
That points and a half deal, normally 20 points would be around. Now 30 points around. It's going to be a dogfight over there at Indy.
Corey Reed, Karen Stouffer, Michael Ray, all hot on the heels of Steve Johnson sitting there in the 10th place. But if Hector Arana Jr. were to slip up and a couple more have really good weekends, Hector Arana Jr. could be out of the countdown, which would be a big shocker. I mean, a huge shocker. So you have about, 5, maybe 6 drivers in line for one spot.
Right.
And, boy, that is going to be a dogfight all weekend long for the guys.
Alexis DeJoria in the funny cars she's kind of fighting it out there. I think Cruz Pendergrain's a little bit on her tail. Oh, Chad Head and Cruz Pendergrain. So that's going to be a dogfight too. Alexis will be back in that car. She's tough, man. So her jumping back in that car, I got a feeling that team's going to have something to prove.
And welcome back, Alexis DeJoria. She will be back after some time missed after an accident at Sonoma that she actually fractured her pelvis. And so she was going to come back this weekend. Will be in the car. And hopefully there's no physical ramifications. Everything's good to go, ready to launch for Alexis DeJoria because Chad had Cruz Pedregon right on her tail. Is it probable? No. Is it possible? Sure. Absolutely. Sure. Things are possible to make that happen. Also, in Pro Stock, there's one available spot there between 9 and 11. Eric Enders has been very good over the last couple of weeks. Jed Coughlin is actually now on the bump. You take 7 championships between Jed Coughlin and Erica Enders, and you're 9 and 10. I'm saying that the performance of the team is probably not very good.
Showing what they've been doing. Erica was the defending winner last year at Indy, and this year they're kind of struggling. Seems like last couple races they picked up a little bit, but that's a tough. That Pro Stock is tough right now.
Yep, and Alex Laughlin is waiting in the wings. If one of those drivers were to slip up this weekend, Alex Laughlin could find himself in the countdown here at ZMAX Dragway in a couple of weeks. So we'll be keeping close eye, not at the top of the list, but at the bottom of the list. And that's, again, what makes Indy very special because it's your way into the countdown, even if you can't maybe get that win.
Well, in Funny Car, one guy that's looking at the list real close is Del Worsham.
No question.
Pulling home the win last week at Brainerd. Also in the final round at Brainerd for the Seattle race. I'm still trying to figure out how to word that and make that sound right.
Yeah, right.
But looking forward to talk to Del Worsham here, the DHL Team Coletta car. They've been running strong, man.
And it was about this time last year that everything started to come together. Yep. And what the result was a championship season in 2015 for the Yello fellas in the DHL Funny Car. When we return, we will talk to the defending Funny Car World Champion, Del Worsham, will join us next.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. More right after this.
It's O-Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Improve visibility and save $6 instantly on a pair of Bosch Excel Plus wiper blades and earn double points. Ensure clear vision in any weather with Bosch Excel Plus wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Is it true that you built the first Harley in a barn? That's a myth. It was a shed, not a barn.
A Discovery Channel original.
This is it. This is our venture. A motorized bicycle. We gotta be different. We gotta be tough.
You know the name.
Harley Davidson.
Now hear the legend.
What you saw here was only the beginning.
What's it like?
Like an explosion between your legs.
Based on the true story.
It'll be too loud, too dangerous. Nobody's gonna want to buy that.
People will want it, trust me.
Harley and the Davidsons, a 3-night television event starting Monday at 9 on Discovery.
I'm Steve Letarte for STP. As a former crew chief, I know about winning and what it takes to keep your engine performing at its best. That's why I recommend STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner is STP's most advanced fuel additive. It's been formulated to help remove harmful deposits from intake valves and restore fuel injector performance. For more than 60 years, STP products have proven themselves mile after mile. Take it from me, if you want to go with the winner, go with STP. In for the long haul.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now here's Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for being here on this edition of The Straight Line, headed into the Big Go this weekend. And joining us right now on the telephone line is the driver of the DHL Toyota Funny Car for the Bounty Hunter, Connie Coletta. Del Worsham joins us. Del, thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it during this busy week.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. Glad to be on your show. If I'm on this show, that means something good's going on.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
something good did happen last week when you won over there at Brainerd. And also, how did that work? What did that feel like to be in 2 final rounds in one weekend? I guess maybe a little bit like Indy, and I know you've done the final round and the shootout and then also in the race. It's something like that, huh?
Yeah, you know, it was kind of a good thing, bad thing. You know, I was excited to be in the final of Seattle, and when we lost, it was really a bummer. But the good news was, you know, a day later we could possibly go to another final, so it was kind of a mulligan there on the table. It was a bummer. You know, we ran good on Friday at Brainerd, getting ready for the final from Seattle that we're going to run at Brainerd, and went out Saturday morning, and the car just blew the tires off right at the starting line, and you know, it really hadn't done that since we built this car back in Denver. So it was a little surprising, but we were able to rebound back and come back Sunday, and we put up a good effort there.
The weather conditions at Brainerd were a bit all over the place. Did you have to end up chasing your tail a little bit along with that, knowing that you had to get it down the track first time? You really didn't have a couple of rounds to try to get it dialed in. You're pretty much getting it up there, and all right, let's run for a trophy.
Well, we went out there on Friday, and they gave us a couple rounds to kind of get it dialed in, and we kind of went out there in a mode, in a situation where, hey, let's make sure we have a good qualifying spot. And lo and behold, the thing puts up record numbers again. You know, so we were a little confused by that, and maybe we kind of thought we were invincible there a little bit because everything we did was okay, and then came the final round Saturday morning, and things weren't okay. We went back for Q4, which was after the final, you know, and again went on kind of the same thing again, and had to do a little bit of soul searching there Saturday night. And come up with another game plan for Sunday, and Nikki and John on the entire DHL team, they came up with a plan, and we executed it. And we weren't the fastest car on Sunday, but we were consistent. We were getting down the track and kept cool heads, and were able to pull off a win.
Well, you guys always seem to pull it off, Dell. Lately, I mean, since this time last year, you guys have been tough, and even up in Brainerd, you picked off 5 qualifying points. As much, you know, only one person made more points than you guys. So it's not that it sounds like you're struggling, but I'm thinking you're not struggling very much. Not what it looks like to me.
No. I'm not going to say struggling. I'm just saying that you know, in Seattle we picked up 12 qualifying points.
Right.
So we were a little spoiled there, and then we went into Friday at Brainerd and ripped off 5 more points, and we're thinking, all right, this is all good, and then found out that things weren't 100% where we thought they were. But it came back on Sunday, made 4 runs down the track, and I feel pretty confident. Going into Indy, a lot of fast cars here, but I feel like we stand a pretty good chance at least putting up a great race, and you know, you never know who you're going to race and what run they're going to. You know, I mean, you never know. People can always throw out big runs on you and kind of bury you, but I feel pretty good about it.
Well, hey, after Brainerd, you know, a lot of the other guys might have went home and you know, went back to their shop and got things ready to go, but not Del Worsham. Del Worsham goes to Memphis and races with his dad, and it looked like you guys put the old band back together over there. I was happy to see everybody over in Memphis this last weekend too.
All right, well, I'll tell you something interesting about that week. So this is my 7th week in a row racing right now.
Oh, Lord.
I'm going into my 7th week in a row, and that doesn't include the Indy test session that we ran in between Brainerd and Indy. If we didn't even run the DHL car, I was lucky I got to drive Doug Clettis' dragster, and I drove Alexis's funny car over there just in testing, getting ready for Indy. So for myself, I made a personal record, and I made 22 runs in 6 days in 4 different cars, and I've never done that before.
Well, you were telling me at Memphis what a ride that driving Doug's dragster was, because that thing ran so good in testing up at Indy too.
It was enjoyable. It was different. It was exciting. Car was very fast. It drove beautifully, man. It just drove straight down the track. I was a little worried about overdriving it and kind of driving like a funny car. And it's enjoyable to get in a car that runs that well and just go straight down the track, and you just get to enjoy just going fast, you know. And it was very, very fast. It was fun though.
Del, what's the strategy for the Yellow fellas with Jono and Nikki and the whole crew? Because it's an entire weekend into itself. You got a competition inside of a competition. It's $100,000 for the Traxxas shootout. It's obviously you're going for the win in the U.S. Nationals, a chance to make history. Have anything special planned, or are you just trying to just take this the old proverbial round at a time?
Well, one thing that happened is I didn't make the Traxxas shootout. That's a bummer.
Right.
You have to be one of the first 8, first 7 winners, and we didn't pull that off. You know, I lost a couple close races. Look back now at some races you could have won, like the Winter Nationals, losing by 10,000 second, and I wish I'd had a reaction time 1,000 better that day, but whatever. You know, what happens. So we don't have to worry about that part of it. We get to mostly just worry about trying to win the U.S. Nationals. I think you have to use the 2 night runs to get your position, and you have to use the day runs to know where you are to race on Monday. So there will definitely be no distractions as far as that goes. I think we got 5 good runs here to try and put together, a pretty good program that we can take into Monday, and hopefully, no matter what gets thrown at us Monday, we'll have some kind of answer for it.
Hey, Del, some neat stats that we dug up, and you're probably aware of it, and then hopefully I'm right on it. But your first number one qualifier was at Brainerd 25 years ago, and then you went back there this year for your 500 start and won the race. That's all. Do you look at those numbers? That's kind of cool.
Well, I didn't personally, but our PR guys, they keep finding them and digging them up and showing me these numbers, and I look at them, and they just don't even seem real to me. Those numbers are so big and so large. It's amazing. I remember that number one qualifier just like it was yesterday at Brainerd. It was a big race for us because back then we had the Big Bud Shootout, and I didn't start until basically 1991. So everybody kind of had like a 5-race head start on us, and we came into Brainerd with Tom Hoover number 8 spot and us in the number 9 spot. And the only way it would work out is if I qualified in the top 3 and he qualified in the bottom 3, then we would take over that 8th position in the Big Bud Shootout.
Yep.
And lo and behold, we qualified number 1, he qualified number 16. So not only did we take a spot, then we had to race first round, and it was really exciting. It was probably, other than that whole year had a whole bunch of highlights in it, but it was pretty exciting race, that's for sure.
I was thinking about back pulling up to the final round at Indy in 1992, and you were racing right in front of us, racing Forrest in the final at Indy, and we were racing McCulloch right behind you. So we were both in the final round at Indy, and that year neither one of us pulled that off. And oh man, that year was like everywhere where we went. If I don't remember, one of us ran first, we both won, or if the other one ran first, we didn't win. It was weird.
Exactly. I remember that too, and it was. I think if I won, you won. So when I lost, I was like, oh man, Doug's screwed.
That's what it was. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
So it's your fault.
Each other all around the NHRA and all those events. It was a fun year though. It was another great year.
I think back then we probably raced at least 7 races in a row because it seemed like we ran every weekend between match racing and NHRA and NHRA and all that stuff.
I think we ran 13 weeks in a row one time, Doug, between us. Running around between the NHRA and the NHRA and everything we did. I'm pretty sure at one point we went 13 weeks in a row. It was crazy.
Man, that was fun.
And today, that's just not even doable. That's not even close to doable, right?
Well, it probably is doable, right?
It's doable, but it would take a different mindset, to be as prepared as we need to be and be able to make, these 45-minute turnarounds and what it takes today to race NHRA. You would almost have to. You almost have to have another operation, or a lot of people back at the shop preparing parts and getting things ready because you have to be 100% prepared, for anything to happen in any round on any given run because it's always very fast out here.
Hey, Del, tell us about the team and you coming over to Coletta Motorsports a few years ago as crew chief for Alexis, and then that kind of turning around where you're driving the DHL car, which, means a lot for you and I. Friend Scott Coletta, driving his car, but just the quality of people that you have there at Coletta with Jimmo, and then of course on your car with Jono and Nikki. I mean, all these guys can run a car by themselves, and you, of course, obviously you too. And working on that car, that's a lot of talent working on that car, and you guys are showing it.
Yeah, it is. When back in 2011, when I was kind of kicking on the idea of maybe being my last year racing or maybe not, or taking some time off. I pretty much made up my mind, pretty early in the season that I was definitely not going to drive the next year. I was going to, I had this job opportunity with Alexis, and I'd licensed her and spent some time with her, and she seemed like the kind of person, and she still is this day, the kind of person I want to race with and work with, and her goals and what she was showing me was definitely right where I thought I wanted to be at that point. So when I went to Coletta's shop and I hung out with Jimmo and toured the facility and looked at what they had, I'm like, man, this is really a neat place, and they have the tools and the finances and the talent to actually pull this off and be able to become a championship team. So that's why I chose to go that direction with it. The whole thing driving the DHL car, that came along a lot later. That was Connie Coletta's move there on how he wanted to handle the situation. And they asked me about it, and I kind of had to think about it a little bit, because I really hadn't even thought about driving it. I tested Doug's car a couple times, the dragster that year for them, just in between meets when he couldn't make it. And when I really thought about getting to race with Nicky Bonifani again after 20 years, and getting to race with Jono and that entire team, I talked to my wife and kids about it, and they were all for it. So I'm like, all right, let's give this one more shot. There is some unfinished business, the funny car, and I would like to at least run for a title, whether you win one or not. who knows? But just to get the race for one is what I wanted, and I got to do that.
Del, how are you guys preparing for the countdown? Obviously, after Indianapolis, that's when the playoffs start, and it starts right here just down the road at ZMAX Dragway. Every team has a little bit of different strategy. How are you guys getting prepared?
Well, we kind of spent all summer kind of preparing for it. Our car, let's say at the beginning of spring, wasn't fast enough to win. We were getting outrun. Ron Capps had clearly showed us that our car wasn't fast enough, so we took a few races there to kind of reevaluate where we were, make some changes, change the headers a little more, change the clutch a little more, work on the whole balance of the car so I could drive it. So we've got situations where I wanted to lift the front end, we'd know how to get out of it or what to do to kind of rectify it. So it took us a few races to get it dialed in, but I think we spent all spring and most of the summer kind of getting ready for what's coming, and I think we've done all we can do. I think now it's just time to go out and race and just kind of see where we are.
Well, last year you guys figured out what to do when you won 4 of the 6 countdown races.
Well,
so
yeah,
I'm thinking, you know how to get it done. So, man, I'm excited and always good to talk to you and good to have you on the show. And you guys are, I know. I hate to pick favorites, but you're one of my favorites. You know that.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. It's really cool.
Driver of the DHL Toyota for Connie Coletta and the defending Funny Car World Champion Del Worsham. Thanks you so much for taking some time out of your busy week, and good luck this weekend at the Big Go. We appreciate it.
Okay, cool, guys. Thank you very much, and hopefully, like I always say, I hope I talk to you next week. That means we won.
All right, we'll do that, and then we're looking forward to having you and Connie coming up at our brake scale here in a few weeks before the ZMAX race.
We're definitely coming. She forwarded me my plane ticket. We're coming in Wednesday, so
nice.
We'll be there on Thursday.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks, buddy.
Del Worsham, the defending world champion funny car driver, and heading into the U.S. Nationals with a lot of confidence, coming in with a big win at Brainerd. And
this all-around good guy is what it comes down to. He's just an all-around good guy. We, some of the listeners, when I was calling in from California in July, we were out there. We went out to dinner with Del, and he lives about literally a quarter mile from my mom, where my mom lives, where I grew up, and she's lived there for 40-some years.
Oh, man.
And Del's just a neat guy. His wife, Connie, is super neat. I've got a fun story about Del and Connie and Cabo San Lucas. I'll tell that in another show because that'll take a little bit of time.
Well, let's see. The Herberts, the Worshams, Cabo San Lucas.
And a bar called the Giggling Marlin.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we're going to need a lot more time. So when we return, we'll talk more about what's happening this weekend at Indianapolis, the track's a shootout, and a whole lot more coming up next here on The Straight Line.
This is The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. More coming up right after this.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
O'Reilly.
It's O-Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stop in today and check out store-wide savings, plus earn double points on over 225 items. It's our way of saying thank you. If you're not already a member, sign up today during O-Rewards Member Appreciation Month. It's fast, easy, and free. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Letarte for STP. As a former crew chief, I know about winning and what it takes to keep your engine performing at its best. That's why I recommend STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner is STP's most advanced fuel additive. It's been formulated to help remove harmful deposits from intake valves and restore fuel injector performance. For more than 60 years, STP products have proven themselves mile after mile. Take it from me, if you want to go with the winner, go with STP. In for the long haul.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Welcome back to The Straight Line. It's Chevy Performance U.S. Nationals Week, and we cannot wait We're going to be racing all the way through Monday, so get prepared. There's going to be lots to it.
A lot of coverage on Fox TV.
Yep.
A lot of coverage. I saw the Grand Marshal. They're taking over my Grand Marshal spot as Jason Line, Greg Anderson, and John Force. 3 Grand Marshals. I thought that was kind of funny.
It takes 3 of them to replace you.
There, that's probably it.
So,
you got a point.
That's where I'm going with that. If you're in the Midwest, the O'Reilly Shredder, those are some of the places that you can find where the O'Reilly Shredder is in Cleveland, in Amherst, and in Warren. Coming up next week after the Labor Day weekend, the O'Reilly Shredder, a full-size stock car, the NASCAR-looking stock car, and it's at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts, and you can find it right there on the screen. Findlay, Cleveland, Amherst, and in Warren next week is where you can find the O'Reilly Shredder. Taking a look at the Traxxas Shootout, and this ought to be really interesting in the top fuel category. Terry McMillan wins the lottery. He had a 17% chance of winning the lottery, and he did. And so right now,
that's what
as
I'm saying.
you said,
don't count him out of that top 10 because he's got luck going on.
Yep, exactly. That ought to be really interesting. Brittany Force, you got Force versus Schumacher. So I mean, there's a
Brittany Force
match
versus Tony Schumacher. That's going to be a tough one because there's the old Alan Johnson backup thing, and there's some there may be still a little bit of fierce. More than just competition there.
Yeah, maybe some hard feelings. We'll find out. But AJ wants that Force car to win. Steve Torrance, Sean Langdon. There again, that's AJ Schumacher in that one. Coletta versus Leah Pritchett. I'm sorry. And that ought to be very interesting. And Antron Brown versus Terry McMillan. They will run that on Sunday. And that ought to be that'll run on Saturday, and then Funny Cars run on Sunday. And we'll take a look at the pairings for the Traxxas Shootout. John Force wins the lottery, and that he had 63%, and I would say that was probably a very popular pick, and he had the odds on his side. So
the popular one in the top fuel was Clay Milliken. He got the most percentage of fan votes or whatever, but Terry McMillan, there again, it's luck, man.
Yep.
Ron Capps versus John Force, first round of the Traxxas Shootout. Courtney Force versus Alexis. The girls square off there in the first round of the Traxxas Shootout. Matt Hagan, Tim Wilkerson, and then Robert Height versus Tommy Johnson Jr. There's going to be some racing, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fierce because not only are they qualifying, but that it's a chance for $100,000. And if anytime you get a big old payday, that's not a big thing. That's a huge thing. And also coming up this week,
also the bonus: if you win the shootout and the race, you get an extra bonus on top of that.
Right.
I don't remember what the number is, but it seems like you win about $250,000 if you take home the shootout and the U.S. Nationals.
Not a bad weekend.
Not bad.
Also, the opportunity for Tony Schumacher to become the all-time winningest driver in U.S. Nationals history. He has 9 of them. He is tied with the great Bob Glidden for 9 wins. He topped Garlitz here not too long ago. And if Tony Schumacher can get a win, that puts him in double digits in U.S. Nationals. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. But you see some of the all-time greats, Glidden, Garlitz. Greg Anderson can move himself up. He can get out of the tie with WJ. WJ would not be happy about that. The great Dave Schultz, Ed the Ace.
Ed the Ace McCulloch beat me over there one year.
And, of course, Larry Dixon was fantastic in U.S. Nationals for a long time.
Speaking of Don Garlitz, we were, the listeners just heard us talking to Del Worsham a little bit about this past weekend, the World Series of Drag Racing over in Memphis. Big Daddy Don Garlitz was there. He came over, checked out what we're doing with our brake stuff.
Yeah.
Larry Dixon was there. Roland Leong. Had a fun weekend with those guys over there in Memphis.
Yeah, a very, very successful weekend with breaks and the World Series of Drag Racing all going on this weekend in Memphis. Thanks to everybody involved in this week's edition. So for Doug, for Robbie, for Daryl, I'm Marty. We will talk to you next week on The Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Tune in again next Thursday at noon Eastern on MotorRacingNetwork.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and is brought to you by Hercules Tires. This program is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or you can download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.